Alright, just like last video, how we covered the two teams in the NBA that didn't make the playoffs. They were young teams that made the right moves to retool to pretty much secure them into the playoffs for this season. Now here's the video for these are playoff teams that pretty much retooled a significant amount of way and direction to where they could be really good contenders for the 2021 NBA season. Now, this is still the same for the Western Conference, one team, and then the other teams in the Eastern Conference, but let's jump into the West. So the first team we do have is going to be, nonetheless, Dame Dollar and the Portland Trailblazers. Portland's been a very inconsistent team from year to year. I mean, one season, man, they'll be losing in the first round. Next season, losing the second round. Then 2 to 3 seasons in a row, losing the first round, then losing the conference finals, then losing the first round. They're very inconsistent all over the place. And it's kind of crazy because they're pretty much their same core foundation of Terry Stotts, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, like Zach Collins, and some of these role players have always been pretty much the tradition, the foundation and core, and very small pieces here or there. But they made a lot of great moves this offseason that I can't stress enough, and let's cover who they are. So you still have Damian Lillard as a MVP type player, a star player for your franchise for the last 8 to 9 seasons. He's still your point guard. You do have CJ McCollum still as your shooting guard. So that's the same core foundation. You do have Carmelo Anthony that you did re-sign for a 1-year deal, which he had an outstanding season in 2020. He would average around 17 a game. He did lose around 20 pounds right before the bubble. He's a lot more quicker. He can play the 3 slot as of right now. His defense has increased. Same thing was with his confidence. So I'm really excited about Carmelo Anthony. He's rejuvenated. I'm glad that he did not sign with the Knicks or another team. He fits very well with the Portland Trailblazers. They know how to use him. They know how to use his offensive game as well. So Carmelo can play your 3 or your 4. Also, whenever it comes to it, you still have Nurkic on your team as your 5. So there's been some history with injuries in the past, especially last season in 2020 when he missed around 50 games or such. That's when they had to play Hassan Whiteside a lot. They didn't really have any other bigs. But that's kind of one of the key main variables when it comes to the Portland Trailblazers, hoping that Nurkic can stay healthy for your team and for your franchise. But when it comes to your power forward, they did make a huge big move. They let go of Trevor Ariza. They made a swap with Houston for Robert Covington. And Robert Covington fits very well in any team in this day and age, specifically for a middle-of-the-pack team / a contender. He's a 3 or 4. He can play the small forward, power forward. He's around 6'9". He's a catch-and-shoot type player. He's pretty much like a taller Wesley Matthews. And he's finally getting in his groove in the name of the NBA. I'm really glad he joined the Portland Trailblazers in the trade. That was a very well executed move for management. So right now you're looking at a starting 5, essentially of Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Carmelo Anthony, Robert Covington, and Nurkic. That's a very formidable starting 5. I like the fits together whatsoever. The only thing I kind of bat my eye on it is Nurkic, about his health. But besides from that, they're all good. They did make a trade as well. They brought back Enes Kanter. Now, Enes Kanter was part of the team back into 2019 when they made the Western Conference Finals. He played some very good, valuable minutes off the bench as a 6-man, and he's going to be able to be that scoring center off the bench that Damian Lillard and the team need. Because again, the Blazers, they're not the best of the best when it comes to defense, but their offense is crazy, man. They got so much ammunition. There's shooters out there. So I really like the move bringing back Enes Kanter. They've had a bunch of bigs that were hurt. Now they're finally reloading. And when it comes to their third center, they actually made a move to bring in Harry Giles. I believe Harry Giles was on the Bulls and didn't get that many minutes, but that's a great third center, if anything. So he can give you some minutes as well. He's 6'11", he's 22, he's got potential when it comes down to it. Now, off the bench, you're also going to have Gary Trent Jr. He could be a great 6-man for your team. He is young as 21 years of age. And basically, I mean, the young cat from Duke, he's going to give you some good buckets. He kind of reminds me somewhat of an Allen Crabbe from like 3 seasons ago with the Blazers. So I really like the direction when they have him as well. Another great move, you re-signed Rodney Hood, so he's still a great shooting guard, small forward, coming off your bench as an 8th or 9th man. They did make a very underrated move. They made a good signing of Derrick Jones Jr. from the Miami Heat. Now, the Blazers are up and gun, they're running, they're lengthy, they have defense. Derrick Jones fits very well with this team. This team is 10 deep when it comes down to it. And I think they have around 1 to 2 more roster slots that they can sign other than any other free agent. But Blazers so far, I really like the team. They finally made the makeup. I think the peak for them this season would actually be to get back to the conference finals and the Western Conference. I mean, the Clippers are all over the place. The Warriors lost Klay Thompson. The Jazz, I don't know. The Jazz I don't expect them to make the conference finals. They're kind of a middle of the pack team that doesn't retool as well. They haven't really put a team around Donovan Mitchell for any offensive wings or anything to help them out. The Nuggets, they've lost Torrey Craig. They also lost Jeremy Grant. We gotta see how their roster plays out, but basically, as of right now, I think the Blazers or the Nuggets are going to fight to get back to the conference finals. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Lakers against the Blazers. I think Damian Lillard can also go for that regular season MVP this season. Watch out for that. But that covers the Western Conference. The Blazers made some huge moves. I didn't expect them to make anything like this, but they really rejuvenated his team. And I would love for them to get to the conference finals. That team right there, out of 82 games, they would win around 55 at least. Out of 72 games, they would win around at least 50. I think there would be probably a top 3, top 4 seed in the Western Conference. Kind of give or take what happens with the Clippers and the Warriors. But that's on that side. Let's jump over to the East with the second team. You have the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, the Sixers, they've been in a great position of trusting the process when they got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons together. Their first season together, they made the 3rd seed in the East. They had a record of 51-31, I believe, somewhere in that mix. They were a 3rd seed, and they really jumped out of nowhere because no one really expected the 76ers to make the playoffs in 2018. They thought they would probably be at most a 7th or 8th seed, but at the end of the season, man, they cranked it up and they moved up to a 3rd seed, and some people were stating they could have made the finals. But of course, they lost in the second round. They lost in the second round the following season to Kawhi Leonard's miracle shot whenever they had Jimmy Butler. And then the next season, which was last season, Ben Simmons was out. He didn't play in the NBA playoffs. And then Joel Embiid lost and got swept to the Celtics. And right now, for Elton Brand, he had to make some big moves to retool a new direction and, just big moves in general. So he hired Daryl Morey as your GM and basketball operations. So that was a huge pick for them. And Daryl Morey went to work, man. He went to work. So basically, when we're looking at this roster, they fired their head coach, Mike Brown. You have Doc Rivers, which is a controversial pick, but I think he's fine. It's nothing too wrong, nothing too good. Kind of middle of the pack. So, you made some good moves, Daryl Morey. So basically, you still have Ben Simmons, which is a given. Now, there has been rumors and rumblings of possibly trading Ben Simmons and draft picks and such notch for James Harden. That's to be determined. If that goes through, I'll make a video. But we're under the impression if it's still Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. You were able to finesse away Al Horford's 3-year big contract away to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, you had to give around a first-round draft pick, but you were able to let that go. And good thing, since they did bring in another big contract, it's not a big deal. It's Danny Green's. It's $15 million. It's only for a last season. It's expiring. And that's what they need. They need more shooters out there for their team and franchise. Back into 2018, when it was Ben Simmons' first season, you would have Marco Bellinelli out there, Ersan Ilyasova, JJ Redick. They had shooters around Ben Simmons. And last season, the 76ers did not have shooters around him, and they did not have the right chemistry pieces. Now, Daryl Morey's brought in some shooters. He's brought in some pretty good veteran, vet pieces and chemistry guys to really uphold Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. So right now you're looking at a starting lineup of Ben Simmons. Probably going to have to run the 1. I know Brett Brown stated that he would like to move him to the 3 or 4, but he's fired. and I don't see Doc Rivers making that move. I mean, I've always stated, guys, in my videos, I want Ben Simmons to play the 3 or the 4, play more off ball, take more jumpers in the game, and have a mentality of scoring to give you 25 at least a night. I don't know if he's going to take that approach. He has a nonchalant game, kind of like Lonzo Ball. He really wants to be a point guard. He wants to be like a LeBron, but pretty much just, he wants to be like a combo of LeBron and Lonzo Ball, which is not a good mix. But we'll see. We'll see when it comes to him. But I'm probably going to go under the impression that Ben Simmons will still be running the point guard position. So you're going to have him at the 1. You'll have Danny Green as a traditional 2, which is a great pick. At your 3, you're probably going to have to run Tobias Harris as of there. If not Tobias Harris can probably play the 4. You can probably put at the 3 Tybuli. And then at your 5, you're going to have Joel Embiid. Off the bench, you made a really great pick of trading away for Seth Curry. You gave away Josh Richardson, got Seth Curry. Curry can make magic. He can pull up on his own. Curry played 2 seasons with the Mavericks, 2 different stints. Let me tell you guys, Seth Curry is very underrated. He's going to be a huge addition to the 76ers. You brought in Dwight Howard as well. He's a great veteran guy, but controversial, different teams, different franchises. People have had their rumblings and rumors about him. It is what it is. I'm not crazy about Dwight Howard on the 76ers, but he's going to provide that great defensive presence that they do need for their team and franchise. Who else we got out here? You still retain Mike Scott. You still have Glenn Robinson III. You still have Kyle Quinn, Shake Milton, underrated, Furkan Korkmaz, Ryan Brokoff, Terrence Ferguson, part of a trade. I think they need to make a couple more moves for their role players, because pretty much the main guys off the bench are Seth Curry, Dwight Howard, Furkan Korkmaz, Shake Milton, Glenn Robinson. So they're around 9 deep. I think they need to get a couple more shooters out there. You can probably sign Marco Bellinelli and or Kyle Korver. They're still free agents as of right now. You can pick them up. You can also pick up Quinn Cook as a 3rd point guard for your team. Or also you can go the direction of picking up a Reggie Jackson. He's still available as well. There's not many power forwards out there because there's no traditional power forwards really in the game anymore. There's just most likely like the Robert Covingtons or Jeremy Grants of the world. Those guys are pretty much just taken. So I think the peak for the 76ers for the next season could be, I think they're probably going to get bounced pretty much in the 2nd round if they stay all healthy. I'm not too crazy about them, but I thought these were really good tools, really good picks for them to really shape up their team, get Al Horford's contract out of there. And Daryl Morey, he's still trying to make a trade for James Harden. He's going to pull up something up his sleeve. This is very early in the process, so I trust the process. I trust Daryl Morey. I think the 76ers will not be looking with their roster at the end of this season. I think during the trade deadline or anything along those lines, they'll make some other big-time trades. So we'll stay tuned when it comes to it. Overall, Blazers, Sixers, playoff teams from last season that made really good retool moves that heightened themselves in their peak for 2021. So let's cover a little more info when it comes to it, and I'm out.